There is an Italy of La Dolce Vita, of football and fine living, but there is also an Italy of business, design, luxury, innovation, which exports Italian know-how to the world and makes the Lombardy region one of the most dynamic in Europe. So why not study your MBA in Italy? To talk about that, we've got two graduates of two of the top schools in the country to share their experiences. And it's a pleasure to welcome Divya Singh. Divya is from the Bocconi MBA class of 2024, and she's on a mission to combine financial expertise with sustainable growth. She studied business at Delhi University and has combined corporate development at Inbrew with a platform for medium-sized NGOs. Great to have you with us, Divya. And Aya Maged. Aya graduated from the POLIMI Graduate School of Management class, also of 2024, a very dynamic healthcare professional who studied dentistry at Mizir in Egypt and project leadership in clinics and across the Middle East and Africa for care providers. So both of you, welcome to Centre Court. And perhaps, Divya, I gave a brief introduction, but tell us about your own personal path that led you to study for your MBA at Bocconi in Italy.
Okay, thank you so much for the very warm welcome and that introduction. I'm very happy to be here. To kick us off, I'm happy to tell you about my, pre-MBA experience and how this journey kind of started. Like you said, I, had about 8 years of experience prior to the MBA. I am a chartered accountant, so I had, worked across financial services, social entrepreneurship, and FMCG before I started my MBA, and started my career with EY, where I worked in audit for 2 years and then pivoted to working at a broking house as a research associate for 2 years. And in the pandemic, in light of what was, going on around us, I switched gears to social entrepreneurship, where I started a crowdfunding platform to help NGOs, get funding for their critical projects at the time. And 2 years of doing that, and I felt, it being my first venture, and there's a lot more that I wanted to do and explore. I went back to the corporate space and I joined the chairman of Inbrew Beverages, which is an alcoholic beverage company in India, to expand operations across the country of that company. A year of doing that, I felt like it was the right time to take an educational break. I was working with an LBS MBA grad, the chairman, and he very well understood my need to have, a global career, and, have a global network, meet with people from across the world, and really challenge myself in ways that I've never done before, which really motivated me to go for the MBA. And that was September 2023. And, it has been the best decision of my life. And to end this introduction, I'll share a fun fact about myself, which is that I'm a trained sitar player, which is an Indian classical instrument, which is like the guitar, so to speak.
So your Bocconi fellow classmates could come to you for help in the accounting exam, but also count on you in the evening for fine wine and sitar. That's a great place to start. And Aya, for you, already enjoying a successful career, but what then shaped this idea of expanding perhaps beyond more technical skills to the broader
Mhm.
aspects of business?
Okay. So first of all, so nice to be here with you. Um, Thank you for the great opportunity. So as you mentioned before, I studied dentistry, which is completely different from doing an MBA. But after like studying, after spending like 3 or 4 years in dentistry school, I realized that this is not what I want to do in my life. So after I graduated, I was trying to see some other passions that I can have. So I started teaching part-time. I started working in a clinic. I was working actually in a clinic to get my license for dentistry. And then I started observing like some technical problems that is happening or would suggest some like improvement in the process. This is where I started shifting into the managerial side of the healthcare sector. So I was so passionate about the healthcare sector and about being able to help other people and like having a purpose behind what you're doing. So I wanted to stick to this sector, but I found myself more in the managerial side of it. And from that, I started moving to project management, again in the healthcare sector. And this is what I was really passionate about. But then I decided, like, doing like working as a project manager or like in the management sector in general, you need to have like some sort of understanding of finance skills and timeline and everything. So for me, I guess the MBA was the logical next step because I never studied business before. I mean, like I took some accounting and economics classes in high school, but I never studied business. I don't know what is a balance sheet, how to do anything. So I wanted to do an MBA, and I was actually thinking about starting the MBA in Egypt. Then one time I was reading online and talking to a friend of mine who traveled abroad to pursue her PhD. And then I was like, you know what? Let me like I'm turning 30. I want to achieve something new. I'm still young, and I can actually quit my job for 1 year, leave everything, and go immerse in a completely different experience to expand even my global network. This is something that I've never thought about before. And as Divya was saying, it was the best decision, I guess, that I've made because it helped me like grow a lot professionally, personally, academically, and on so many levels. And also, like I've met like a huge amount of great people that shaped my personality a lot. A fun fact about myself, I would say it's not really fun, but something that was a sign for me that I shouldn't be a dentist is that one time, for example, when I was taking off a molar, I dislocated my shoulder. So this was like, yeah, a sign for me that this is not my career. Um, I also don't know how to ride a bike, but yeah.
Well, the dentist that actually needed a doctor, but there's a whole other
Exactly.
story there. But both of you, speak to very intentional change. You were successfully pursuing your careers. Perhaps there was more that international dimension. In your case, Divya, both choosing a 1 year program in Europe. What made Italy such a great place to get your MBA?
I think I was looking at Europe. For me, it was Europe versus US more than it being Italy versus any other, country. And I think Europe was more aligned to my priorities for several reasons. The first being the work-life balance, the better work-life balance that Europe has. And because I thought US would be like India again, where, you can tend to have very, very long working hours. The second one was um, the higher experience, the richer experience that candidates had in Europe because the average age of candidates was higher in Europe. And thirdly, I think the visa norms being a little easier in Europe versus the US, like it was very easy to just be deported any day. I mean, it was just very fickle in the US, which I didn't want to leave that to chance. So I felt Europe was a safer bet. And among Europe, I would say Bocconi stood out again because of several reasons. The first being that, it was a small intake. We had 112 people in one cohort, and I felt like it was the right environment to build meaningful connections. The second is the cost benefits that Italy offered or Bocconi offered versus other European programs or global programs, and that really moved the needle for me in a big way. And the third one is the location advantage that Bocconi offers, being in the heart of the city, which makes for a very enriching and unique experience. So I think because of those reasons, Italy and Bocconi really stood out for me.
Right. You've said, Aya, how quickly you felt like Italy was home, and maybe just thought, well, it is 1 year, but of course, then life happens, and you
That's
continue
true.
to stay there. So again, thinking about the right sort of program for me, the right school and environment. Why did you
Mhm.
choose POLIMI, and what did you also see in choosing Italy?
Okay, so I totally agree with Divya. I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly.
Yeah,
Um,
you're right.
okay. So I totally agree with Divya, like regarding choosing Europe. Like my initial search was in Europe in general, but to be honest, my heart was set in Italy, like on Italy. Like I wanted to really go to Italy, as we were saying. Like choosing Italy was easier option, I would say, because Italy is a very rich country in terms of culture, history, food. It has nature, it has everything. So I wanted to really immerse myself into the Italian culture and to live into the Italian culture. And as I was mentioning before, Italy really felt like home very easily. And I knew this because like the people there are warm, the weather is warm, the food is great. So it was easy to choose Italy for me. And then, of course, I was checking the rankings of the universities in Europe. And of course, POLIMI and Bocconi both were the top ranked schools in Italy. For me, what I really liked about POLIMI specifically is how the year was structured, um, how um, how like the courses were spread over the year, how practical it was. Like so we had the courses only like till like March. Then afterwards we start doing our specializations, which is pretty much hands-on. And this is what I really liked about it. It's not just lectures. We really had like a practical experience. We were immersing into the business world. We had a lot of collaborations with like different companies. We had a lot of company visits. We did a lot of consulting projects with different companies. So I really liked the program of Polyme because like for me it felt like okay, like I'm going to have like the practical experience. It's not just theory. I'm going to go and have like the full practical experience of the MBA. Also looking at the brochures from previous years and the statistics for the students. So seeing the average age of students, the average years of experience, which is like 3 to 5 years. Also where the students come from. So there is like a huge diversity, both like culturally and academically and professionally. So for me, this was very important to like enhance the entire experience, to meet people from all over the world, to share different perspectives, different backgrounds. And I guess this was the right decision in that sense. And this is how I.
We can see by the smile on your face that it was the right decision. Now, I was just talking, Divya, about diversity. When you arrived at Bocconi, you might have connected by LinkedIn or other means with your classmates, but then you meet everybody. I don't know if there was another dentist in the program, but what were your impressions of your MBA classmates and the wider Bocconi community?
I think that was the one factor that made this, experience so memorable. The people that I met, in that 1 year, the 18 months of the program. So like I said, we had 112 people in our class and 40 nationalities were represented in those 112 students. And we had, people from such diverse backgrounds and such fascinating careers. It was very, very humbling to be, in their presence. We had a helicopter pilot who was American. We had PhD students, like they had done PhD in biotechnology or civil engineering. And these are subjects that are very far from the planet that I come from. So just being in their presence was such a learning experience. Every conversation, you get to learn something new, about different parts of the world. There was this girl from Ecuador, for example, who would share, at one point, she shared something she said, from her background in class. And I found that such a unique take on the problem that was being discussed that, times like that, I felt very, very fortunate to have this opportunity, which I do recognize not a lot of people get. But other than that, they were so humbled. I mean, they were very humble people at the same time. They were not, despite, someone is like 38 with so many years of experience and someone is 26, and they do not talk to each other, in a way with authority or any other thing. So it was incredible to have had, friends uh, like that in class. And similarly, I think even the alumni community is very global. There are people who are, from they've gone back to their home countries or found jobs in other countries, but they're always willing to help and, always enthusiastic to pay forward the help that they once received because, they know that we are on a similar journey. So I think it's the Bocconi network that goes so far and out that you feel really privileged to have gone to school with people like that or be a part of such an institution with that reputation. So I think that really made it one of a year for me, one of a kind.
For you, of course, POLIMI is within Politecnico di Milano, which is older than MIT as an area of technology, engineering, innovation.
Mhm.
And at the same time, the dean, Federico Fettini, is
Mhm.
passionate about purpose. So
Purpose.
is that reflected in your classmates that, that as they think about business and technology, but also with this underlying sense of purpose and what they're working towards?
Exactly. Thank you for bringing this point up because purpose was actually like one of the main things in our program and one of the main drivers. And the very first day, this is what they introduced us. They were like, this is the first question they asked us, what is your purpose? Why are you here? Like, and they started defining purpose and they started asking everyone about their purpose. And of course, like everyone had an understanding of their purpose, but we didn't really like knew how to define a purpose, how to work with purpose, how to study with purpose. And this was actually one of the best things about the entire experience of the MBA in POLIMI. We learned how to integrate purpose in everything that we're doing, how to do everything with purpose. We would take workshops about like how to be a purposeful person, how to not just work for the sake of working or talk to someone just for the sake of talking to them. You have to have a purpose in mind. You have to get rid of all of the mind talk. You have to actively listen to the other person to understand the reason or the why you're doing this, not just what I'm doing, no, the why behind everything. And this made like a huge difference. It made a huge difference in the way we're perceiving like the classes. It made a huge difference even in the teams, like when we're working in teams. And as we were talking before, we had like a lot of diverse people. So if we're in a team with like different backgrounds, everyone with a different mentality and different perspective, and we have to decide on something, and then we're it happens, of course, that we're disagreeing or something. Uh, like thinking with purpose or having purpose in mind, and these workshops that we've been through helped us a lot, even in on this small scale of having like an internal meeting during a group project for 5 minutes to just listen to each other and to give each other a chance and to have the purpose of what is our purpose of this 5 minutes meeting is to reach this certain goal, for example, is not to fight, is not to like we're not in a competition, we're not who is like imposing their opinion. We're just talking together to reach the best possible solution. So yes, we actually like something fun that we did because like we've been talking about purpose in every single class, every single day. At some point, we had like a bingo for our class where we had the word purpose, and whenever someone said purpose, we would clear it out to just like have fun. But it was really, really helpful. And after graduating and starting to work again, I can really see the impact it had on me during work and how I work differently and how I perceive a lot of things differently because of this.
I mean, the idea, Divya, that you can look at a curriculum, perhaps as a chartered accountant, I think I've got the accounting classes covered, certain elements of finance. But as you think about the overall learning experiences, were there classes or moments in the program that held up a mirror and things that you learned about yourself and not just technical skills?
Absolutely. I think for me, it was more about softer skills or things outside the classroom because a lot of, like, I don't think you learn those many new things in class, especially if you come from a finance background. Like, maybe I could say that. Um, but even the finance classes, I think, it had a different take. It was more a discussion rather than, them teaching you something new. And for me, having the European context or the sustainability angle to everything that was discussed was absolutely new because India, these discussions, we are still not there. So, a lot to learn, on the classroom front. But outside classroom, I think again, like I said, the diversity of your classmates teaches you so much about communication because there's a lot of implied, ways of communication that I have perhaps with another Indian. Like, there's a set understanding which I realize is not, among nationalities.
Mm.
So, some things that I said were perceived to be rude in some other cultures, and like maybe they don't speak to each other in that culture. So those were very big learnings for me, like how to tackle or respect people from different cultures. And this is especially important when you're collaborating, not just for group assignments, but it manifests itself in so many different ways. And I think that really sets you up for a global career, in my opinion, because anyone can do the work,
Mm.
but true collaboration only happens when you're all able to contribute and able to feel welcome and respected in a team setting. So I think that was the biggest learning that I had working in an international, setting. And I think I was more I recognized it a little bit more because it was the first time that I was living abroad. And maybe for someone who's been in such a setting, it not really stick out for them as much. But for me, it was very crucial. There were times where when I thought that, I didn't even say something that was rude, or, I didn't intend it to
Mhm.
be in a way that you perceived it to be. But then, those were like moments that I was just like, okay, this is something that I need to go back and reflect upon and improve. So I really cherish those times. But even otherwise, um, I think so many elements like work life, how to manage your time better, how you prioritize better, how do you juggle priorities, how do you network and do well in class and go for social events. I think that's really a skill set I picked up to
Mhm.
handle pressure with ease and really tell myself that I'm going to manage, and this is not the end of, like, it's not going to kill me, because I would freak out a lot more easier before I went for the MBA. And when, during the MBA, you have like 10 things going on at the same time.
Mm.
So it really teaches you, I think, patience and um, prioritization.
Yeah, if you made a list, I mean, you've mentioned interpersonal dynamics, handling stress, patient. It becomes a very long list of qualities that you can then apply. I mean, Divya gave the example beyond the classroom, and presumably
Mhm.
also there are clubs, activities. There's Milan. Even if you can't ride a bicycle, there's
Exactly.
all of Milan to discover. So how does activities beyond the classroom also help to shape the sort of experience that Divya was describing?
Yes, of course. So the activities fall like under two categories, let's say, like the activities in Italy in general and the activities that were organized by the school. Let me start by the activities in Italy in general. But so, for example, one of the best concepts that they have here in Italy is the aperitivo, which is the happy hour where you just don't do like you go out with your friends, have a drink and some snacks, and that's it. You just talk, unwind. You don't talk about work. You don't talk about anything. You just enjoy your life, la dolce vita, as you were saying. So this kind of activities actually bring people together. So like if you're having a long day of classes from 9 till 6, and then your friends will tell you like, let's go and have an aperitivo together. So the networking is easy. It makes life easier. Sometimes you're just sitting and then some other people would come and join you and you become a group. And Milan is full of like so many other activities like to do, many, as I mentioned before, it has a lot of international communities and a lot of events going on. So you can, whatever your interests are, cultural, sports, anything, you can find like an event for you. From the university, we had a huge network of clubs, alumni clubs. For every interest, there was a club for consulting, club for entrepreneurship, club for even wine tech. So wherever your interests are, you could go and attend like these networking events and network from with other alumni who have like the same background or have the same interests as you. And this was a great networking event. Also, we would have like a lot of company visits, a lot of alumni visits. All of these things, I would say, make a great network and great connections. And this is what I would say this is the best thing about the MBA experience because, of course, the classes are very important and what you learn in the class is very important. But you need to be like an active person, like to go with an active mind mentality and to network with everyone and to find connections and to actively seek being part of this community and to like see what you can do next.
Right. You've both talked with great clarity and passion about this harmonious work-life balance, and Divya, it's something that you felt that you'd find in Europe perhaps more than the US. So there's aperitivo, but of course you're also then preparing the next stages of your career. How does that work in working with the Career Management Center, the networks that you have access to? Did you need to know before you arrived at Bocconi what you wanted to do after the MBA, or could you explore?
Okay, that I think they prepare us very well before we set foot on campus, that you need to know what you want to do when you come for the MBA because it's a very short program. It's just 15 months. And, it goes by very, very, very fast. So you can't um, be too confused. Like everyone is confused, that's fine. But it's better to have a structured confusion, you know. So from the very start, they tell them what careers, we're interested in so that they can pair us with a CDC, which is a career development center expert, who will mentor us through the year. And while when we go on campus, the first week is orientation, where we have a lot of CDC workshops like career strategy. Or this is one-on-one with your mentor. This is also in groups. We practice our pitches. How are we going to talk or pitch ourselves? And we have career strategy meetings like what is your plan A, B, and C, and also there is a fair bit of flexibility to try out different things, but they say that the sooner you come to one route or one track, the better. And there's a lot of like alumni coming to talk about it, CDC sessions that are happening that help you, build up your mind. Like Aya said, we have like company presentations. So when you hear from them, it kind of starts, your mind kind of starts getting developed in one direction or the other. So I think those really help. And we also have something known as Switch, in which they organize career coaches, like a one-on-one mentorship that is outside of school. So it's a very independent, unbiased space where you can practice whatever it is that you want. And during the interview, like I can give you an example because I had a healthcare interview, and this was the first time that I was making a switch to healthcare. They organized a mock interview for me with a former employee of that company who helped me, with very hand-holding sort of way that, you might want to highlight these aspects of your profile versus the others. So obviously that I ended up converting that interview, but without that kind of help, I think you kind of feel lost and confused. So I think there's a lot of help available that the school makes it possible and they provide it to you. But it's also in a pull manner. They're not gonna come and run after you and be like, hey, 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 this is available. But it's more like, you've got to take that onus of making that happen for yourself. But I think MBAs, yes, people are different, but I think I was very clear as to what I kind of wanted to do. And, I'm very lucky to have had a very good outcome from the MBA.
Yeah. I always said at the beginning, the MBA as an opportunity for change,
Yes,
but structured. I mean, structured chaos sometimes, but
of
the
course.
idea that you're getting constant feedback. So as you came into the program, perhaps with
Mhm.
ideas beyond the MBA, how did Polimi help you to shape those ideas and gain exposure to new opportunities?
Okay, so my experience is actually a bit different than Divya in that sense, because the school, yeah, they ask you when you apply for the MBA, they ask you what do you want to do afterwards, of course, but they would tell you be flexible. So they would leave you flexible for the first, let's say, 2 or 3 months that you're exploring your options, you're taking like the new classes, you're learning about the purpose, and you're starting to define your purpose and understand what you want to do. And then starting from December, we started having like career coaching sessions where we had like a one-to-one session with our career coaches, and they would tell us like list like all of the possible things that you can do or you want to do. Like if, for example, you want to have a career in healthcare and a career in finance and a career in consulting, and list all of this and let's talk together. And this was actually very helpful because for me, I had like 4 or 5 options of things that I wanted to do and I didn't know how to choose about. And then I started talking to the career consultant and we started defining together what is the best option for me, what is the purpose, what is everything. But again, they would tell you like, yeah, this is the best option for you. This is the best path for you based on your experience and everything. But at the same time, you need to keep like a flexible and open mind, at least throughout your MBA experience, to try to have an understanding about like a broader world, and like not just like the perspective you have, to like listen to different perspectives, try new things. And one of the great things they would do for us is to we have, for example, something that is called an OCU project, where we do consulting projects for external companies, and you apply for a project without knowing the company that you will be working for, and then they would match like the groups randomly and put you in a group. I don't know if I can say the name of the company that I was working with, but yeah, I was chosen to work for Patagonia, for example, for my OCU project. And the project that we were working on was to try to help some ski resorts that have been out of business and try to make them more sustainable and to try to find other alternatives for them, which is completely different from my background. I live in Egypt. I've never seen snow before, even, you know. So everything was completely different, but this has been one of the most incredible experiences because I I learned new things, and I learned that I don't just want to work in the healthcare sector, for example. I can work in many other sectors, and that the skills that I've learned and all of the things that I've gained can work in so many different things. So if I had the choice, I would never choose to go outside of my comfort zone. But what I really liked about Polyme, that they actually encourage you to try new things, and they put you in different situations where you actually experience different things. And of course, they provided us help like in creating our CVs, as Divya was saying, like having mock interviews with people from the university for external, then with external people. And actually, I got the job that I'm working for right now because of the university, because the university is always like they have like a huge network of alumni and partners, and they really try to help out by spreading out the CVs and, as I told you before, about the networking events. So they send out the CVs, and if someone is interested, they contact us back, and this is how I got the job that I'm working for right now. So I really guess the school does a great job in preparing us professionally uh, and to actually help us like connect and network with people to
Hmm.
for the after MBA.
Both of you have reminded me why I love Centre Court so much. You can read somebody's story on your phone, or but to hear it directly from you. I mean, if I would say to either of you, would you do it all again? I think all of our viewers at Centre Court would know exactly what your answer would be. So perhaps, I mean, to finish, Divya, as we think about that global audience, listening to your shared stories and experiences, the energy and the excitement that you share that with. Um, maybe your biggest piece of advice to someone that's thinking about going back to business school, getting their MBA, Italy, Bocconi, what would your advice be to them?
I think, so many things to be said, on this. And I love speaking to candidates about the MBA and, motivations and, why Bocconi, why MBA, etc. And I always tell them one thing is, be your authentic self. Don't do it if, your peers are doing it, but if it makes sense for you, evaluate where you are in your career, in your personal life, and see if this break kind of fits into that. And it's very important to be your authentic self, not only in the applications that you're writing, but also in your recruitment process with your classmates. And I think that goes a very long way. And everyone has moments of self-doubt, they feel vulnerable, but you need to recognize those moments and move beyond them, because that's where you're able to make that progress. So for example, for myself, had I thought that, okay, what 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 difference can I make? I'm one business school student in a pool of so many, and it's a very competitive landscape to land an opportunity. But I was very fortunate to be, one among two interns that Eli Lilly took, for the summer. And the first day I reached there, they asked me, "Are you from LBS? I think you're an LBS girl." And I'm like, "No, I'm actually from Bocconi." And that, made me feel so proud of myself. So I think if you are true to who you are, it will open doors for you. And if this is the MBA or the program that you want to undertake, and that's a calling that you have, you should definitely go for it. And it's not going to let you down.
Our viewers can think about their own sense of purpose, Aya, but a few final words about, considering going back, getting an MBA. Why Milan?
Yeah.
Why Polimi?
Okay, so first of all, I would say keep an open mind and be an active person. Don't just do the MBA for the sake of getting the certificate. Like you need to have like the full experience. If you're going to do the MBA and like leave your job, leave your family, leave everything, you have to be an active person. You have to be engaging in all of the opportunities that come up. Because as we were saying before, like if you're just sitting there taking classes, not actually actively pursuing what you want to do, yeah, you will have a good experience, but you will not have a great experience. You will not get the best of the out of the entire experience. So my advice would be have an open mind, be very active, actively listen to people, actively learn, actively engage in social events and networking events. Um, make it an opportunity to for like growth in general, personally, academically, professionally. Enjoy Italy. Enjoy its great food, the great landscape. You can do a lot of day trips. You can like attend a lot of events. You have a lot of nice things to do around. And one actually important advice that I would appreciate if someone would told me before is to learn Italian. Try to learn some Italian before coming here. I mean, you can survive with English, especially in Milan. You can like perfectly survive with English. But if you really want to immerse in the culture and if you want to look for a job in Italy later on, um, it's great to actually invest in Italian. And Italians really appreciate it when you start speaking Italian and like you show interest in the language. So if you really want to fully immerse in the culture and the experience, I guess these are my advices.
Right. Well, both of you,
If I may add,
Divya.
I think I completely echo what I was saying. And I did learn, I did B1 level of Italian before, going there. And I think it really helped, when you travel, like, you're in like remote places and you don't have access to Google Translate. It really helps to have that conversation with the person in front of you, because this is outside of Milan where English, they're not exposed to English as a language, and they really appreciate it when you just make a little
Yeah.
bit of an effort to speak in Italian. And if there's one more thing I can add about why the MBA would be a good investment. I think it's an investment in yourself,
Mm.
and you can rarely go wrong with that. Like if you end up with nothing else but that 1 year of like experience and memories, I think it's going to take you somewhere. It's going to add a lot of value in your life. So I would really tell people to take the plunge, and you're not going to regret it. Like I think everyone will kind of agree with me when I say that. So I think you should definitely go for it.
Well,
I
investing
totally
in a
agree.
crypto meme coin or investing in yourself, you're absolutely right. There's nothing better, investing in yourself.
Maybe both.
Both, yes, for both of you to share that authenticity, the enthusiasm, and hey, learning one of the world's most beautiful languages, that's just the cherry on the top of the aperitivo, right? So thank you, both of you. Thank you, Divya. Thank you, Aya, for sharing so much enthusiasm for this experience. It's been a great session. I really, really appreciate it.